Beautiful folks, this is Valentine the Plug straight from the Danger Room, and I'm happy to see y'all tuned into another video. In this video, we're going to do things a little bit different. There's no cook up today. Actually, what I just want to do is take y'all through 5 chord progressions in a minor scale, put y'all on, break them down, show them in context, and then give them to you so you can start making some dope R&B beats of your own. Let's go. Alright, beautiful folks, welcome back into FL Studio, and as you can see, I've got 6 layers here, which are the backing track or the backing beat over which I will be demoing the chord progressions so we can hear them in context and y'all can hear that they're actually amazing and they work. Every chord progression that I'm demoing in this video, feel free to copy it. I don't particularly care since I don't own them. I just feel like putting y'all on so y'all don't have to waste too much time. Y'all can just get right into making R&B and understanding the chord progressions. Now, before we continue, there are 3 things that you absolutely need to know about or even just understand in order to fully utilize these chord progressions. Those are, of course, knowledge of your scale degrees, knowledge of the general minor key, you know, the distances between the notes, the tones, and the semitones, in which order they appear, and of course, how to construct chords and different chords outside of your major and your minor 7 chords and your dominant 7 chords. Alright, so before we proceed, I'm going to be demoing the backing beat, and after that we're going to be breaking down the chord progressions. So we're starting off with the first chord progression. I can easily say it's the most vanilla chord progression of the ones that I'll be demoing today. It is a 1, 4, 5, 1 chord progression, meaning that we have a chord built on the first note of the scale, which is a C. We have a chord built on the 4th note of the scale, which is an F. We have a chord built on the 5th note of the scale, which is a G, and it cycles back to the first note, a C. So what we got here is a C minor 9th, an F minor 7th, a G minor 7th, and it cycles back to a C minor 11th. Now, the reason why I think this chord progression works is very simple. You're starting off on your tonic, which is always a good point to start. You're actually working towards that dominant, and there's this subdominant, which is the note before the dominant, leading into that. So you have a very logical build-up. Then after you achieve your climax, like your high point, actually, you slowly cycle back to the first point, which allows you to start from all over again. That's kind of the logic behind it, and that's why it works. But how it sounds, yo. Alright, so we are here at our second chord progression, and we're starting off with another C minor 9th, and I just want to emphasize that your tonic, so a chord built on the first note of the scale, is always a good point to start with, and is always a good point to come back to, no matter which key you're working with, or no matter which scale you're working with too. Alright, so the chords that we are working with a C minor 9th. We are going towards a G major 7th, which is the 6th degree. We are landing on an F minor 7th, which is our 4th degree. We are heading towards a G minor 7, our 5th degree, our dominant in the chord. So that's kind of our climax. And in order to stick the landing, in order to come back to something that's relatively familiar, we are landing on a D sharp major 7th, which is the 3rd degree in the scale. So it goes 1, 6, 4, 5, 3, And that 3 is actually key here because you see that the third and the first are actually sharing a lot of notes. They have a lot of notes in common. So the third degree is often considered a weaker variant of the first degree. So it kind of works if you don't want to reuse the tonic, or you feel like you're tired of the tonic, to go with either the third degree or sometimes even the sixth degree. But we're going for the third degree here. And what that sounds like. All right, beautiful folks, third chord progression, and I'm sure that that's a chord progression that you've already heard before. It is the 6-5-1 chord progression. Starts on a G sharp major 7th chord, descends to a G minor 7th chord, and as you can see here, there's only a semitone of difference between these two chords, which gives it so much rich tension that people love, especially in a descending motion. That's why this is one of the most used chord progression for kind of darker beats, more emotional beats, more invocative beats. You hear it in pop, in hip hop, R&B, drill, doesn't matter. You hear it everywhere. So like I said, G sharp major 7th goes down to a G minor 7, lands on a C minor 7, which is our tonic, which is the note bass on the first degree, and we are repeating that. And the cool thing about this, you can repeat the tonic, and it's actually called, well, some people call it a perfect prime or a prime interval. Some people call it unison, when something is replicated with the exact same pitch. It sounds good. You can just keep replicating the tonic. It sounds good. So either way, what this chord progression sounds like here. Alright, beautiful people, fourth chord progression, personally my favorite chord progression. We're starting off on the 5th degree, which is a C minor 9th chord, and we are then heading to the 7th degree, an octave below, which is an A sharp dominant 7th chord. We're then going for the 5th degree, which is a G dominant 7th chord. But let me stop you right there. Actually, in the minor scale, the 5th degree is supposed to be a regular minor 7th chord. However, I raised the 3rd to make it become a dominant 7th chord. So if you really want to adhere to the notes that are on the scale, and personally I wouldn't know why, because a lot of sauce is found in raising or lowering your notes, then yeah, you can stick to your minor 7th chord, but I turn it into a dominant 7th chord because I like the tension, and this 5th as a passing note is just amazing. And that 5th as a passing note allows a very smooth transition to that C minor 7th chord, which is our tonic, which is played twice for dramatic effect. So, you know, this chord progression, I personally really love it. So while the 4th chord progression is definitely my favorite, I feel the 5th chord progression is easily the sauciest. But let me take y'all through it. So we're starting off back on the 6th degree again. We're starting off with a G sharp major 9th, and we're landing on a G augmented 7th chord. And an augmented 7th chord is easily achieved in this case by taking our G minor 7th chord like this, and we're essentially raising both the 3rd and the 5th, turning it into an augmented 7th chord, making it an altered chord. And an altered chord is a chord which has one or two of the most essential notes either flattened or raised, in this case raised. So like I said, G augmented 7th chord, saucy chord, especially for tension. And I did say that in third chord progression, you could get a lot of cool tension by going from the 6th degree to the 5th degree because they're only one semitone apart. But then you raise these notes and you get an even richer tension. And that's what you want for some saucy, jazzy, neo-soulish sounds. Okay, so enough about that chord. So we're proceeding to our 4th chord, 4th degree again, which is our F minor 9th chord, excuse my French. And then we're going back to the 5th and we're playing just a regular G dominant 7th chord with a doubled root note. That's it. Then heading on to the second phrase, we're essentially repeating the entire thing, but we are finishing with a G7 sus4 chord, which is a chord that I don't talk about a lot. A G7 sus4 chord is basically achieved by doing the following. You take your regular C minor 7th chord. I did say G just now, but it's a C. You take your regular C minor 7th chord, you take this third and you raise it up 1 semitone, 2 semitone, it turns into a sus4 chord. Then you add this A sharp on top and it turns into a turns into a 7 sus4 chord. Wow. Alright, beautiful folks, so that makes 5 chord progressions that y'all can start using to start your journey as an R&B producer, or maybe you just needed some inspiration to kickstart that creative process of yours. Either way, I definitely hope this video helped you either develop new chord progressions for yourself, I mean I don't own them, or just get them creative juices flowing. And I want y'all to experiment with the voicings of the chord, experiment with the positioning and the tempo, you know, maybe drop those fifths, drop those thirds, I don't particularly care, you know, raise your notes, flatten your notes, or substitute them, try those substitutions. There's so much possibilities, and I hope that this can kickstart, you know, just y'all exploring with them. So this is Valentine Unplugged, your favorite struggling R&B producer, signing off. I hope this video has been useful to y'all, and any feedback, I would definitely appreciate that. But be aware, I'm going to be doing a video where I'm going to be breaking down some chord progressions in the major scale as well. Since we can't forget about our beautiful major scale, feel me? So that's going to be the next video, so y'all stay tuned for that one too. Peace.